Thank you very much. Great to be here. Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you, President Trump, for being back in Texas. You being here shows that today is a day of an extraordinary contrast. We have President Trump back in the state of Texas, literally on the border itself, a place that he's been to many times, talking about all the things that he's done to secure the border. At the very same time, we have President Biden down in Brownsville, Texas, which was an obligatory visit by him. He'd never been to the border. In fact, I don't think he's on the border itself right now. He's in some sanitized location in the Brownsville area, not seeing the razor wire that Texas has put up around Brownsville. And he announced that he was going to Brownsville after it was already known that President Trump was coming to the state of Texas. It just goes to show that Biden does not care about either Texas or the border and what's going on. As a result, you see a disaster. The United States of America is dealing with more deadly consequences than we have in our entire lifetime because of Joe Biden's policies on the border. And it did not have to be this way. As President Trump just talked, there were 4 policies that he put in place that led to the lowest illegal border crossings in about 4 decades. The end of catch and release, the Title 42 policy, the Remain in Mexico policy, and building the border wall. All Joe Biden had to do to secure the border was to keep in place what President Trump put in place in the first place. But instead, what Joe Biden did, he signed executive orders eliminating all of the effective policies that President Trump put in place. And then Joe Biden did something even worse. Joe Biden lied to America when he told America that he needed Congress to pass laws for him to be able to do something about the border. Because there are 3 laws that Congress has already passed that are on the books right now that Biden could and should enforce. One is a law that requires the Biden administration to deny illegal entry into the United States, like what Texas is doing right here and like what President Trump did. He's not denying illegal entry. President Biden is aiding and abetting illegal entry. The second law requires the president's administration to detain anybody who does get here illegally. Biden is not detaining them. He's releasing them across the entire country. The third law that Congress already has on the books is a law that requires the Biden administration to build border barriers like what Texas has built, like what President Trump has built. And Biden not only is not building any borders, Biden is using every tool that he can to tear down the borders that Texas is putting up in our state. And because what Biden is doing has endangered our country, as President Trump was telling you the stories, not a week goes by without an American either losing their life, being raped or assaulted by somebody that Biden has allowed in our country illegally. The fact of the matter is, because of Joe Biden's policies and the more than 8 million people who have crossed the border, the United States of America is being invaded. And because Joe Biden is not doing his job to step up and secure the border, Texas has invoked the authority provided to us in Article 1, Section 10 of the United States Constitution to declare an invasion and for Texas to defend ourselves from the crimes that are being caused by Joe Biden. Very quickly, here's what Texas is doing. Texas is the only state in the history of America to build our own border wall. And we did not reinvent the wheel. We're just building the very same wall that President Trump put up. Second, we deployed those big orange buoys into the Rio Grande that are effective at denying illegal entry. And Joe Biden filed a lawsuit to try to put a stop to it. Even though that lawsuit is tied up in the courts right now, those buoys remain in the Rio Grande River as we speak right now. The third thing is we have tremendous members of the Texas National Guard led by General Seltzer. And General, thank you. And also I want to take this time to thank Martin Freeman from the Texas Department of Public Safety and Mike Banks, where we have our own border czar. Mike Banks has spent more time as the Texas border czar in one day than the United States border czar has spent in her entire tenure. And I want to thank Mike Banks for his job as a former Border Patrol agent and now as the Texas border czar. But what our National Guard has done, they have sealed off this entire park and taken it over, because this area was being used by the Biden administration to violate the laws of the United States of America. And I said, I will not allow this Texas land to be used by the Biden administration to violate American laws. And I asked the National Guard to take it over, and they did in one day. But this is the important fact. Since they took it over, the number of people that used to come across the border before were 3,000, 4,000, sometimes 5,000 people a day. Now, since this park has been taken over and wired shut, there is on average about 6 or 7 people coming across a day. Most of them are in violation of state law for trespassing, and they are arrested when they come into this park. And so for all practical purposes, this part of the border is sealed. Same goes for where Joe Biden is right now. Where Joe Biden is on the night that Joe Biden lifted Title 42. Brownsville, Texas was ground zero where people were crossing across the border illegally. And immediately, the Texas National Guard wired that shut. So an area during the time of Joe Biden before Title 42 was, or when Title 42 was lifted, there were thousands of people coming across the border. Now there is on average about 14 people crossing the border in that area. And that's because the Texas National Guard has wired it shut. Because we are having to do so much to secure our border, that's exactly why 5 miles south of here, Texas has now launched its own Texas National Guard military base that will house 2,300 Texas National Guard. So they will be able to more swiftly and more effectively continue to secure our border. And the last thing I'll say is this: unless and until Joe Biden steps up and does his job, that he has the power to do already to enforce the laws of the United States of America, Texas will continue to bus those migrants to sanctuary cities all across the United States of America. But I am very thankful for the model set by President Trump. President Trump showed that when he was in office, he was able to secure the border. And I know that when he is reelected as our president, our border will once again be secured. So thank you, President Trump.
Thank you very much. Introduce one person, very generous also.
At this time,